I grew up in a very, very rural Washington state, the end of the world is the way my mom put it, in a Norwegian community. My father worked in logging. He was a truck driver, a day laborer. I grew up in a very strong, God-fearing family. They certainly taught us by their lives and their words. My time at college was ending, and I was looking at graduate schools. I got an offer from Harvard, so I called my father. I said, Dad, I'm thinking about going to graduate school. He said, well, where? I said, Harvard. And there's a silence on the phone. He said, where's that? And I said, Dad, it's in Boston. Another silence. He says, I wouldn't recommend it, Denny. I've never heard of it. It can't be a very good school. When I left the Harvard Business School, I had a chance to co-found a company called the AES Corporation, which is one of the largest utility corporations in America today. Well, the basic purpose of the company we started was to meet a need, the people's need for electricity. In our first power plant that we actually owned, I found out that those people who were working there were not having any joy in their work. And it was a major crisis for me. I had Christian principles of integrity and justice and fun or joy as part of the elements that we were going to try to live by. I had to find out why these people weren't having joy. I found out that they were having joy in games and stuff, bowling or basketball or whatever it might be, because they had a chance to make a difference. They had a chance to use their skills to do something useful that would actually affect the organization, the team. And what was happening in the workplace is the bosses, our bosses, were making decisions. And so these people were not able to use what was basically human.
And leadership, is it about control? No. It's about creating an environment where people can be human beings.
If I'm going to allow people to soar, to be able to be human, that is, as God created them to be, I had to essentially restrain my use of power. You see, you go back to Genesis, you see God creating, and He made us in His own image. That's what it says. And His own image then is a decision maker, a creator, someone who does stuff and makes decisions and takes responsibility for them.
If you are not a boss, go out and do random acts of responsibility. Take risk. Make mistakes if you have to. But do something with your gifts and talents.
My very favorite work story in the Bible is Jesus' parable of the talents. And it's about loss. It's about risking and making mistakes.
I make mistakes. I don't care what school you went to or didn't go to, you're going to make mistakes.
The boss sends out the workers and says, use your talents and do something with them. The only person who gets in trouble is the one who's afraid to take risk. We all know how the parable of the talents ends with, well done, good and faithful servant. That's the boss calling back, saying this. But then there's a tagline no one ever says anything about, but it put everything together for me, and it says, enter into the master's joy. Enter into the master's joy. Take risks, make mistakes, but don't be afraid to fail. And that should be all of life, not just in the workplace.